Welcome everybody to Poke Battle Network. Today we are going to be taking a look at DevonCorps GG's Sovereign Cup for February, and we have amazing legends with us today. We have world finalists FishOnAHeater joining us and brownballer. Gentlemen, how are you doing today? And welcome to Poke Battle Network.
How are you today? I'm doing fantastic. Glad to be on here. This is my first time on the Poke Battle podcast, and excited to see what we can do.
Yeah, and I'm great as well. Not my first time. Bit of experience in these legs, but happy to be back. Always happy to be back. Sosa is a fun time, and so is brownballer. Love hanging out with these two gentlemen.
If you haven't been aware, starting January of this year, we got our final solo ranked meta, series. We'll call it a series. That's what it is. And basically, we're going to have every month from DevonCorps GG's this wonderful developed metas that we'll be able to battle in our local regions and rank up to be the top in the world with all these metas and such. In the first meta, we've had Knockout Cup. That was super fun. A very slot meta for this month of January. And we've got the Sovereign Cup for here. Gentlemen, have you played in the Knockout Cup?
Featured in the Flash for everyone Knockout Cup. I can say that it was a lot of Wizcash, and Sosa was there, and he saw me get debuffed a lot of times. So I mean, my goal for this cup is to get debuffed less. I wonder what debuff monster we'll find out and talk about in this cup, but Wizcash definitely it had it out for me for that last Knockout Cup, but definitely a lot of fun. It was a good meta. I definitely had a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
And for me, I've been enjoying having like a solo ranked competition back. Knockout Cup for me has been pretty good so far. Only been in one tournament, taking it a little bit easy this time. Where with Sylph, I used to just go ham. There used to be like 7 communities that I would join all of their tournaments and constantly get, pulled up for time violations because I would never get them all done in time. But this time just doing the one that we are holding in the Pallet Town PvP server, and so far 3 for 3.
Yeah, I've not had any success in the 2 remotes I've done. I did it first early Flash remote with, I brought in Polyrath with Bubble because I was just having fun with that. But of course, Surfetch showed its dominance. But I do have a live in-person tournament here in my city that I'm hosting, so trying to get that back up as well as the GBL style, so the battlers have more metas to look forward to. But the Knockout Cup definitely had its Wishcash problem, but I feel like near the end here, a lot of battlers are going to feel better to bring something else to cover that. I think a lot of Surfetches take over. So I'll find out how the meta shifted at the end of the month with my live in person. But so far, having some fun here, playing some fun Pokemon. And now we're in this Sovereign Cup. And this is wild. This is almost as wild as Rose Cup. And I'm aging myself here. I don't know if brownballer, if you've done Rose Cup, or if Fish, you were at Rose Cup. But this has crazy Rose Cup feels where it was all colors, you banned charge moves, counter is out, dynamic punch is out, double kick is out. Those are the top 2 normal typings right there, and the biggest threat to the ice, and those are out. Let's take a look at the cup. We have electric, ice, fairy, normal, and psychic. The bans are steel, ground, rock, ghost, and mega, and then there is all these tanky Pokemon that are just banned, and then these movesets. Gentlemen, Fish, we'll go with you. What jumps out at you here when looking at the Sovereign Cup?
So, I really like the normal types here, because when I popped these into the custom rankings, I noticed Beware #1. And Beware's got a lot of play. I almost picked that as my one of my featured Pokemon, but I decided to go with another normal type in Oinklonge. So a lot of those normal types, they do resist the Shadow Claws, double resist the Shadow Claws, but they do have to watch out for the superpower, which makes it a very, very interesting matchup with that Beware, because there's a lot of things that Beware can one-shot with the superpower, some things that are a little bit tankier that you need a second superpower, and that can make the matchup a lot trickier. So I think those matchups between Beware and other normals are going to be very fascinating.
Yeah, I think definitely this meta is very interesting, because if you look at it just from a battling perspective, electric, you have the ground typing banned. There are no ground Pokemon. So that means you're going to have to find a way to hit for electric for super effective, which means you're going to have to get creative with what ground moves you do, which I think when my picks was Dunsparce, which I think, you know, will be able to hit for the ground typing there. Then you also look at the ice typing. Ice is statistically the worst defensive typing. But if you look at what moves are suddenly banned from this meta, Rock's banned, Steel's banned. Basically, fighting is essentially pseudo banned, basically of all the charge moves. Basically the only things really left to hit it are was it fire and worst defensive typing, and you ban all of its counters except for fire. But how many fires are there really in this meta? I think the only one I really saw was Pyroar, which really isn't that great. So I mean, oh, and Victini as well. So I mean, the fire typing is really going to be the only check to the ice type. So basically, if the ice types on its secondary typing, maybe where its actual weakness lies and not in the ice typing. And then if you look at normal, the only thing that is super effective against that is fighting. Basically, fighting pseudo ban. So really, those three typings feel very safe in this meta. So it'll be basically feeling how the fairy and the psychic typing can play out, because they do have a little bit more unrestricted counters compared to the other typings.
I'm going to throw one thing at you, and both of you, I want you to think about it too. You talked about debuff. We're talking about ice. There is couple of tank Pokemon now that are going to be really effective, negating that fire one too, and that's going to be Walrein, Celio, Lapras, and Dugong. All four of those now seem really super safe to play with, whether you want to play with Walrein for that Earthquake, because you can have the Earthquake move, you just can't have a ground Pokemon, and that's going to be one of the few that have it. Lapras with Water Gun, with Surf, with Ice Beam could work very well because it's tanky. Remember, all of the tanks are there. So how do you feel about those four tanks playing as the priority of ice? Mike?
I believe they definitely have a lot of play. I mean, as I was saying, I mean, the ice typing is not its weak point. It's actually looks like it's water typing. So, I mean, with electric being in the meta, really the electrics are going to be, you know, more so what could potentially draw them away. But they definitely feel super safe. I mean,
absolutely.
With no ghost in there, Celio's Body Slam will be, should be unresisted from what I'm seeing.
The Body Slam?
Yeah, the Body Slam spam from Celio.
Yeah. Because it's not a normal typing, so it's got no stab.
Yeah.
So
like,
it's
no ghosts, no steals, no rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those four Pokemon right there got a good Tempest feel, got a good Timeless feel. If you like those tanks, if you're looking for a tank as well in the ice typing, those are four you should probably take a strong look at. Before we get into our Pokemon, our 6 Pokemon that we are discussing here, there is a community day that is happening on February 4th, and that is the Blissey Community Day, where Blissey is given Wild Charge. Now, this normal typing Pokemon sits at 308 HP, and with Wild Charge, doesn't really have much play in this meta, but that Chansey, with its tankness of 420 and defense of 120, like it could probably sit and take all the hits. So we're talking about putting that damage down to those tanks and not having a fighting move, but you might have to find a fighting move within that normal typing, whether it's superpower or close combat or Giga Drain. No.
Drain Punch.
Drain Punch.
Or even Brick Break.
Or even Brick Break, right?
Or Focus Blast.
Oh, Ampharos? Get out of here. How did we not talk about Ampharos? Focus Blast, Brutal Swing, Trailblaze. This thing has been given nothing but love. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, there's the community day, Blissey and Chansey. I don't know if we have been told yet that Chansey is getting the wild charge, but gentlemen, how do you feel about those two Pokemon playing in this meta?
Well, you guys were just talking about the ice waters in the meta. You know, the addition of Wild Charge might throw a spanner in the works there. Like,
Yeah.
I wanna see what Blissey does against like a Walrein and a Lapras.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Chansey and Blissey are just tanks that I don't know if there's any mon that can actually one-shot them. So I mean, they definitely can be very situational. I do not enjoy when I get up against a Chansey shields down, or Blissey for that fact. And if I have a water type, you know, I'm not really gonna enjoy eating that wild charge. I'm gonna hope that I live it better than I do, but it could be potent. So I mean, a little bit scary to be honest. Hopefully I don't get matched up against any in the wrong spot, because if you do, it could be GG's.
Yeah, it's pretty tanky, and you could literally just sit in timeout. I've seen battlers do it with strategies before. There's definitely Chansey specialists that I've come across that just wail everybody with Chansey. So it's really exciting to see this Pokemon get into Community Day in a good charge move now. Well, Blissey's got a good charge move now that it can get to. We'll see if Chansey gets it as well, but be on the lookout February 4th for that. You will need to get the XLs. So be sure to get those Chanseys throughout the Community Day and be on the lookout, because right now in Timeless Travels, when you trade, you get a guaranteed XL. So on February 4th, if you are looking to get a Hundo Chansey built, be sure to get 100 Chanseys or 256 Chanseys and sit there with your friends and single-handedly trade so you can get those XLs. All right, gentlemen, let us take a look now at our 6 Pokemon. We're going to take a crack at it now. Take a look at the first Pokemon that we're going to be talking about. I'm going with the Ninetales. You've seen Charm Band, you see Ice-type Pokemon, you see Fairy-type Pokemon. Ninetales is the strongest fairy out there. There's no steel, there's no rock. Powder Snow could go off, and it has some spam in that Weather Ball Ice. With Powder Snow, I suggest the Dazzling Gleam, just because you can get there faster now, and you can throw it as a nuke. Aim to take off those Psychic Pokemon and do more to get the shields of my opponent. It's a spammer. It's gonna really affect my team, my line later, to give whoever I need to give 2 shields to or have a shield advantage for with that lineup. And that is what Ninetales is bringing to the table for me, and that's what I love about it. Alola.
Yeah, it's gonna be strong. It's definitely very meta in every format it's in, and this, I think, is no exception. Ice
is now going to come and play, and it's going to hit heavy, and it's going to be a dominant asset. Usually Ice is only dominant when you have like Dragon Ice Fairy and you're like, oh, what's this RPS? But like Ice is always when you can bench the things that Ice doesn't have to worry about, Ice is always going to show up as a shield getter and a good generalist for your team. So I really like Ninetales.
Do you have any thoughts between the Shadow and the normal variant in this meta, since Shadows are allowed?
Shadows are allowed. You know what? I say play that by choice. But you know, there's not a lot of tanks, so you could just be wanting that extra attack 10%, 20% boost so that you can really just put that shield pressure down on your opponent. Again, you've got this Pokemon that has a good generating energy move in Powder Snow and a good generating fast move in Weather Ball. So having that access with this Pokemon, giving it that extra attack boost ain't gonna hurt it.
You know, I was this close to picking Galarian Slowbro as one of my Pokemon, so that Poison Jab, that would, you know, that would make your Ninetales suffer.
No, Galarian Slowbro can play. Galarian Slowking can play too. If we were talking about ghost moves, right? You gotta get those ghost moves, has access to serve. Those Galarian bros could wind up being real fun spice for some battler.
So I'm really excited to finally use an Oinklonge in PvP. I've heard so many things about it. It is a really bulky, neutral pick It's got a stat product of over 2,000 in Great League, which anything above 2,000, anything above like 1,900 is pretty good. Anything above 2,000 is, you know, chef's kiss. It's got the combination of tackle, body slam, and dig. We've established that ground damage might be pretty handy against all the electrics in the meta, and if there are fires around, then that too. Dig itself, even neutral, is just a really strong move. Also, body slam, really spammy, and nothing in the meta is resisting that. It's also tanky enough to handle the Beware superpowers, which is going to be really handy for it as well. So it does beat Beware in the ones.
With dig or with Trailblaze? Or are you just going straight body slam?
Dig.
With dig.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
So much fun, especially because it's a body slam spammer, and we don't, like, some of those are gone already. Some of those quick body slam spammers are gone. So that's a great Pokemon.
Yeah, especially with Munchlax being banned from the meta, this could definitely be a pseudo Munchlax replacement.
Excellent. Thank you, Fish. That's a great Pokemon. I think that Oinklonge now being joined into the world of Pokemon Go. These Gen 9 Pokemon are actually really showing good battling form here for its GBL battlers, as everybody's gone bananas for Annihilate. Oinklonge now has a meta where it can possibly shine, and I really hope it does, because that seems like it would be super fun to have an Oinklonge there on your team.
I think Dunsparce definitely has got a lot of play here. I mean, rocks are banned, grounds are banned. So, you know, when Devon bans a move type or a Pokemon type, they banned it for a reason, because it's probably strong. So, I mean, you have to find a way to kind of create your own way to do that. And Dunsparce, I think, is one of the best ways. Actually, Fish, correct me if I'm wrong. You ran Dunsparce to get to Worlds, correct?
No, actually, I did run Watergun Lantern. I came up against Valiant Vish in the losers finals, who was running Dunsparce, and it did give me a fair amount of trouble.
Yeah, I guess I was mistaken, but yeah. So I mean, be able to hit the electrics for super effective, I think it's gonna be really nice, and also having that rock slide for the Alolan Ninetales as well, which I think is gonna be a centerpiece of this meta. So I mean, basically, it doesn't do as, I don't know how it'll do into Oinklonge. I think that'd be a really interesting battle. I mean, it's going to definitely be a shields up scenario or shields down. I definitely think it's very close. So, I mean, they both kind of fill that same role of, you know, with counter being banned, being able to be a little bit freer.
I like that. I mean, it's great. It's got the rock typing that is banned. So you've got that super effective fast move. You got rock slide, which is great. But then you also have that drill run, which has just been such a dominant move throughout any time in the Go series. Like any Pokemon that has drill run, that's like the preferred move of choice. It's like drill run and then something else for it, because drill run is just such a strong dominant move. And I like that Dunsparce here is able to play, especially now with counter being bound and double kick being banned. Like, Dunsparce could go crazy. Yeah, you might have a hammer right here. That thing might go ham for some people.
No, I think Oinklonge's going ham.
You think? Oh,
that is definitely true.
Oh, you got me. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. Well, that's a great first 3 Pokemon right there. You got the Ninetales, you got Oinklonge and Dunsparce. You're like, oh man, you guys are super weak to counter. Sucker, there's no counter. And these Pokemon, this line looks great. Lots of spam, lots of shield pressure, and definitely tank. Even though all of those tanks were taken out, definitely some tank to soak up some energy. So this line of 3 is really solid for the beginning. How do you guys feel about these 3 Pokemon?
Yeah, I think they're definitely pretty strong. I mean, I'd be interested in seeing how those bonds can be countered. I mean, just the lack of fighting, especially for Oinklonge and Dunsparce. I mean, you have to get creative. I mean, maybe like a Hypno can land a Focus Blast.
That would be crazy.
Yeah. And you know what? In this day and age, I think we're all prepared. Like, if you see a Hypno swap in and throw 7 Confusions before throwing their move, yeah, like, it used to be like, they're not running for, surely they're not running for, wow, they ran Focus. Nowadays, it's like, okay, I'm definitely shielding this.
Gotta shield the first one, right? Don't know if it's gonna be Focus Blast, Thunder Punch, but yeah. We have talked about Hypno as the Psychic, and it is one to be worried about. Those Confusions are heavy hitters, but there's also other Psychics. Isn't that right, Mr. Brown Baller, that people should be looking out for?
Yes, there is. Hopefully I didn't tip my hat earlier, but the second one I think is going to be really strong is Victini. I mean, you've got actually Victini. It does have another move that actually may be better than Psychic, but it's gonna be a little bit trickier. It does have access to Focus Blast.
It does.
Hello.
Hell.
So
So
you get quick attack 100%. I think it's just too slower than I like.
No
Quick
worries.
attack, getting the V creates in 5 quick attacks, which is 10 turns, is just so strong.
yeah.
I love Victini. It's V create hurts. There's nothing that wants to no shield that. So I mean, you can really set yourself up to be in a perfect position to do some intense amount of damage. So I mean, I think, you know, the fire typing being very missing in this meta, Victini I think is going to be able to carve itself out a nice spot.
I agree, and with legends allowed and available, like, this is great. Victini, probably one of those few Pokemon that have access to a fire move. Absolutely, you get the 10 taps, V create nukes, and not only that, you're hitting the fairies for that intense damage too, and with that psychic typing, you do get a little bit of on some of those psychics when you hit that V create, but it's not you know, it's not gonna super effective, but it's still gonna hit like a truck. So that's a wonderful, wonderful Pokemon. And without Darks and Water type being out there, this Pokemon looks really safe.
It does. I think it's going to be really strong in the lead, just to be able to set the advantage early. If you're more comfortable running it in the back, I think you can do some really special things with it. But at the same time, it definitely can be a little bit hard to handle at times.
Fish on a heater, what's your Pokemon?
Well, this is a Pokemon that, like, I'm having doubts about, but I've included it just because it seems so fun, and I am someone who is huge on picking Pokemon that are fun to play, and that is Vikavolt. So, the Pokemon with a stat product comparable to Gengar, but with Volt Switch, Fly, and X-Scissor. Like, you know how damaging those flies are coming out repeatedly from a Talonflame? Well, now have it coming out from something with a Gengar level attack. Like, that is going to be absolutely wild. It's going to be so hard to make work. It's like riding a motorbike. You can go hard and fast, but if you fall off that bike, it is going to crash and burn spectacularly. But yeah, it seems like a really fun Pokemon to use.
It looks like a fun Pokemon. It's got that bug typing too for those psychics. That X-Scissor boost has been really helpful for any Pokemon with X-Scissor of recent. How you feeling about X-Scissor? There are other moves you can't have on it. Like, if you start seeing more Lapras or Dugongs, would you take X-Scissor out and put in Discharge?
I do really like Fly, though. Discharge isn't actually that strong a move.
Yeah.
Fly's pretty busted. I'd probably stick with that.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. It's a great Pokemon, like you said. It's got Volt Switch from that community day, and what is it? Is it 2-3-2 or 3-2-2 for
3-2-3 for X-Scissor.
Nice.
3 for each Fly. Fly's 45, is it? Yeah, Fly's 45 energy. So it's 3 for each Fly. It's the same as Galvantula with its Lunge and Discharge. So same energy as that. So 3 for everyone. X-Scissor, it's like Charger Bug. So 3 for the first one, 2 for the second one, and it synergizes as well. So 5 Volt Switches is exactly 2 X-Scissors.
Nice.
You just got to make sure that you don't allow it to get farmed down, because it can tank it can tank a Weather Ball from Ninetales, but you want to make sure that you don't get it into a situation where you say tank a Weather Ball and then the Ninetales can just shield and farm all the way down and come out with like 90 energy.
You did mention my last Pokemon there, and I am going with the Galvantula. The same thought process. I'm going in for the bug typing. I'm going in with the Volt Switches. I'm going for those Psychics to get my Psychic coverage, but I'm also hitting that Discharge because I feel those Water Ice Pokemon are going to be so strong as tanks without all this fighting rolling around that we're going to see a Dugong. We're going to see a Lapras. You're going to see a Walrein. Like, something is coming to a tournament. So having that electric charge move, that electric fast move pressure, huge. So I felt like Discharge with the Lunge, the little debuff, works synergy, right? If I'm forcing if I'm forcing shields with Ninetales and I'm debuffing you with Galvantula, my third Pokemon can come in, Oinklonge can come in, or Dunspacre can come in and just sweep everything. So that's why I did it. It's like same exact reason why that Vikavolt is so good. They're actually kind of interchangeable, and you can, depending on how you want to build your team and what you're worried about. Either you need that water coverage or you need that fighter coverage. But that is Galvantula. It's thick. We got debuffs. I love debuffs. Sorry, Brawler, but debuffs make the game that much better when it comes down to those micro plays. So
yeah, they're definitely a little bit better when at least you're 100% chance. At least you know you're getting debuffed. Our first line is more decor based. I think this is more the meta breakers. I think these are definitely, you know, you don't have to bring them necessarily, but I think you advantage yourself. You know, it depends on your opponent's comp. I think Galvantula would be really difficult to deal with. I think Vikavolt maybe a little not as strong as Galvantula, but I think, you know, Galvantula definitely, with Chargebug being banned, there's a reason Chargebug's banned. And Galvantula, I think, is gonna try and do its best to fill that role.
I agree. Fish, how do you feel about these back three?
Yeah, I mean, I've made my my thoughts clear. The Vikavolt is a beware kind of situation. It's not beware. It's like beware of it. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's
beware of using Vikavolt.
Yeah, or maybe use beware. I don't know. But it'll be fun.
Yeah,
that's the best thing I've got for it.
Excellent. Yeah, these three Pokemon in the back are definitely more of like core breaker, like you said, Brawler. Like they definitely add to that element of coverage for typing, or coverage for a Pokemon that you're really more kind of worried that might end up showing itself as one of the top tier Pokemon. But who knows, if a lot of Vikavolts show up, maybe Beware never even shows itself. Or if a lot of Oinklonge show up, maybe Beware. Did you just pick your two Pokemon to go against Beware? Were you like, you know what? I custom ranked this and I saw Beware was #1. I'm bringing in these two because they're hard walls to it.
The Oinklonge, yes. Like one of the things that it like stood out to me about Oinklonge was the fact that it beat the Beware. Plus, it just did all these other great things. Like all of the losses that it was showing me were really, really close losses. Like I feel like a lot of pretty much all of those losses you can just like shield your way through, tackle down, and come out with energy. Vikavolt, like I said before, was just because I liked the thought of giving it a go. I get the feeling it actually does pretty well into Galvantula.
Well, it's got Fly, so, and it's
right.
not a flying type, so.
And a higher attack stat as well.
Oh my goodness. That might be something
CMP.
Oh boy. Oh no. Vikavolt versus Galvantula, calling it as the two core meta breakers? What? No. This was a wonderful 6 Pokemon here, gentlemen. Thank you for your 2 core picks that you think battlers should be bringing to the Sovereign Cup. Is there any honorable mention besides Beware that you would like to bring to the battlers' attention?
I'd say Mew. You can run anything. So like once the meta's evolving, it'll always have, you know, some sort of play. I mean, you can be spicy, run Focus Blast, or spicy and run Overheat. I mean, Wild Charge hurts, and if ground being banned, Wild Charge should be at least neutral. Well, I guess you have the electrics, but I mean, it should at least do a lot of damage to a lot of mons.
Yeah, I agree. Mew is definitely not one I thought of. That's awesome. Legendaries are used, and Mew is the Mew set. So, Mr. Fish, is there an honorable mention for you?
Alolan Raticate.
Alolan Raticate. There it is. Our first dark normal typing. The super weak to counter. So happy it's there. Why Alolan Raticate?
It's got the same bulk, actually slightly bulkier than Oinklonge. The moveset is really nice with Quick Attack, Crunch, and then I prefer Return because I think that has the highest damage per energy of its normal move. It's got access to Hyper Fang and Hyper Beam as well, but I think Return is the way you want to go. as long as you avoid those beware superpowers, you should be all right. Like, very good neutral play, just like all the other normals.
Nice. I have an honorable mention of Granbull. And the reason I say Granbull is because Granbull has access to Snarl and Close Combat and Crunch. So with no Charm being out there, Granbull almost beat out Ninetales, but with having the Weather Ball Ice that you spam off, that's so great. And Close Combat debuffs you. So, like, do you really want to debuff yourself? But if you're needing that Psychic Fighter coverage, Granbull can pop up and be a real interesting pick because Snarl is active and is allowed. And that's going to hit just as hard as and generate energy against those Psychics and those Ice typing as well. So that is my honorable mention for this.
Yep. I'm going to second honorable mention that Galarian Slowbro. Just throw that in there.
Yeah, I saw the Granbull and it definitely looks good.
Galarian Slowbro. I'm going to throw in Bibarel then. Get a real water gunner in there. Let's have some fun, people.
Well, if we're good on second honorable mentions, I mean, there's one Psychic that's probably going to lose every matchup, but it's finally eligible. Shadow Mewtwo.
Let's go.
Whoa. Let's go.
That's the one that's actually like a pretty good rank as well.
Hopefully you out there will bring that Shadow Mewtwo spice and show us how to play it. But if you're not, then you can have 6 wonderful choices here of these Pokemon that are going to help you through that Sovereign Cup and maybe give you that edge for your team building here in the DevonCorps GG February meta. Just want to say thank you to FishOnAHeater and brownballer for joining us today. You can find all of their wonderful socials down in the links below. Gentlemen, would you like to say anything as a goodbye before we move on?
No, just may the leads be in your favor.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you all for watching the Poke Battle Network, and like always, keep on battling.